There comes a moment in a man's journey when he stops asking for validation and starts cultivating his own energy. That moment is not loud, it is not announced. It arrives quietly, like a shift in the wind. One day you realize that your worth no longer needs confirmation. You feel it humming from within, steady, silent, untouchable. Hold on, before we unlock the real power of semen retention, hit that subscribe button and join our Telegram channel, link in description. We drop daily wisdom, success tools, and energy secrets only shared there. Don't watch from the sidelines, become part of the movement. Semen retention is not about repression. It is about redirection. It is the art of containing life force so that it refines itself rather than escapes through impulse. Every man has within him a current of raw power, but most spend their lives leaking it into moments of temporary pleasure. They call it satisfaction, but it is really surrender. When a man chooses retention, he is not merely controlling a physical act, he is controlling the mechanism of reaction itself. He begins to observe the storm of desire without stepping into it. In that restraint, something ancient awakens. His awareness sharpens, his instincts quiet. He begins to hear the deeper rhythm beneath the noise of need. Detachment grows from the same soil. When a man no longer reacts to every emotional signal thrown at him, when he refuses to be pulled by the tides of approval or affection, he enters the same silence that retention demands. It is a silence that terrifies the world because it cannot be manipulated. It is a silence rooted in control, not suppression. The world respects the man who holds his center. It fears the one who cannot be swayed. When you hold your seed, you hold your center. When you hold your center, you hold your world. Retention becomes more than a habit. It becomes a philosophy, a way of walking through life without losing yourself in its illusions. Desire is not evil, but it is untrained energy. It wants release, not refinement. To retain is to refine. To refine is to elevate. And when elevation becomes your standard, chaos begins to lose its grip on you. You start to see that what most people call love or passion is often just addiction in disguise. A man addicted to emotional confirmation is no different from a man addicted to pleasure. Both seek to escape emptiness. But the retained man learns to sit in the emptiness until it becomes fullness. He learns that loneliness is not absence, it is a forge. It is where character is melted and reformed into clarity. The cold man is not cruel, he is conscious. He has discovered that emotion without discipline is manipulation, waiting to happen. The world feeds on reactive men, men who need to be seen, touched, chosen. Retention breaks this dependency. It turns the search inward. It teaches that the energy you chase is the energy you already are. When you stop releasing carelessly, your body begins to recalibrate. Hormones stabilize. Focus deepens. Sleep strengthens. Your presence thickens like air before a storm. Others feel it even when you say nothing. That is the subtle authority of a man who governs himself. Semen is symbolic. It is not only biological, but spiritual essence. Every release is a message to the subconscious that comfort is more important than conquest. But when you hold, you reverse the signal. You tell your being that mastery is the new pleasure, and your mind begins to build reality around that command. Detachment functions in the same way. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you tell your psyche that power lies in patience. You become deliberate. You move slowly. You no longer rush toward validation because your worth no longer depends on recognition. It is self-fed. Most people fear this kind of stillness. They call it coldness, arrogance, or distance. But the truth is simpler. They are uncomfortable with a man they cannot emotionally program. The retained man cannot be baited, flattered, or seduced easily because he does not live in the economy of external approval. To hold your essence is to hold your power. It is to become the guardian of your own vitality. You realize how much of your life was spent in energetic debt, giving your attention, your seed, your care to those who did not earn it. Retention ends the bankruptcy. It builds an inner reserve that cannot be bought or drained. With each day of retention, the noise fades. Your senses sharpen. Food tastes richer. Air feels denser. You begin to live in high definition. This is not magic. It is awareness, no longer dulled by indulgence. The more you conserve, the more you perceive. The more you perceive, the more you detach from trivial pursuits. Philosophers have long called this state temperance. Warriors called it discipline. Monks called it purity. But they were all speaking of the same inner alchemy, the transformation of raw desire into lucid strength. When your energy stops leaking outward, it begins to illuminate inward. The modern world mocks this path because it fears men who do not need. Entire industries profit from your restlessness. They sell stimulation to the spiritually starving. But when you learn to sit still, when you learn to burn the urge into awareness, you exit their system of control. You become unpredictable to the algorithms of temptation. Retention trains you to see the world not as a playground of distraction, but as a mirror of your discipline. Every urge becomes a test. Every emotion becomes a teacher. You stop asking, "How do I get more?" and start asking, "How do I remain whole?" The question changes the trajectory of your life. You start to realize that attraction itself changes. You no longer attract chaos, because chaos can no longer read your energy. You begin attracting calm, because calm recognizes calm. The women drawn to you are not those seeking validation, but those sensing vibration. Your energy stops broadcasting hunger and begins transmitting command. The power of semen retention is subtle because it is spiritual before it is physical. The longer you hold, the more your nervous system adapts to restraint. The impulses that once owned you become whispers instead of orders. You begin to govern the kingdom of your own biology, and in that governance, detachment is born. You stop reacting to the world like prey. You start observing it like a strategist. When someone provokes you, you see through the attempt. When someone flatters you, you recognize the transaction. You do not respond to every invitation to emotional chaos. This does not make you less human. It makes you more whole. You can still love, still feel, still connect, but you choose when and where your energy flows. You become precise with emotion, like a sculptor with marble. Nothing is wasted. Everything serves design. The retained man walks differently. He does not rush. He does not chase. His eyes carry weight, not because they seek, but because they see. He has replaced urgency with presence. When he speaks, his words carry the echo of someone who knows silence well. In this stillness, you begin to experience what sages called the inner kingdom. It is the state where nothing external disturbs the internal current. You may face storms, temptations, or trials, but the center remains unmoved. That immovability is true masculinity, calm, strength, silent flame. Detachment is the companion of retention, because both disciplines lead to sovereignty. One governs body, the other mind. Together, they forge a spirit that cannot be manipulated by pleasure or pain. You become the axis, not the orbit. The world begins to rotate around your energy instead of draining it. This is not isolation, it is insulation. You are not rejecting emotion, you are refining it. You are not rejecting pleasure, you are mastering it. You learn to feel deeply without drowning, to desire without being enslaved by it. That balance is power in its purest form. Every ancient tradition understood this law, that seed held becomes light, and light held becomes wisdom. When you keep your essence, you keep your awareness. That awareness becomes sensitivity without weakness, compassion without vulnerability, peace without passivity. The retained man no longer begs for emotional access. He grants it like a king grants audience, selectively, purposefully, and only when alignment is clear. This confuses the untrained, who mistake openness for authenticity and boundaries for coldness. But true authenticity is the courage to conserve what is sacred. As your energy refines, you begin to see the invisible structures of life, the patterns of attraction, the games of manipulation, the cycles of dependency. You no longer participate unconsciously. You become the observer behind the impulse. That is the birth of wisdom, awareness without attachment. Each retained day becomes a meditation on patience. Each moment of detachment becomes a mirror for power. Slowly, you stop seeking to control outcomes and start mastering response. You realize that true control is not about dominance over others, it is the refusal to be dominated by reaction. Your silence becomes language. Your stillness becomes message. You no longer chase validation through expression. Your energy speaks louder than your words ever could. People begin to feel the difference. They sense gravity around you, not tension, but density of being. When you walk into a room, energy shifts. Not because you demand it, but because you no longer leak it. You have become whole, and wholeness always attracts motion toward itself. This is the magnetic law of masculine containment. Power without noise, influence without effort. At this level, semen retention ceases to be practice. It becomes presence. Detachment ceases to be effort. It becomes essence. You are no longer doing discipline, you have become discipline itself. Every cell vibrates with clarity. Every thought passes through the gate of awareness before becoming action. The world tries to tempt you back into reaction. It tests your boundaries with distraction, lust, conflict, and noise. But you no longer bend. You no longer bleed energy into every stimulus. You observe, decide, and move with precision. You have turned discipline into instinct. What once felt like sacrifice now feels like serenity. What once seemed like deprivation now feels like devotion. You are devoted not to pleasure, but to purpose. Not to validation, but to vision. And that vision expands as your essence refines. You begin to sense the sacredness of life force. You understand that the same energy that creates life also creates purpose. art, strength, and clarity. To hold it is to honor it. To waste it is to deny its divinity. The more you honor it, the more it begins to honor you with power, focus, and spiritual magnetism. Was this the fire you needed? Let me know by hitting like. More importantly, if you want this growth to be consistent, subscribe and join the team. I love connecting with every one of you, so please, tell me where in the world you're watching from in the comments. For questions too deep for comments and direct access to our community, the Telegram channel is open, the link is in the description. Your one mission. Share this powerful message with one person who needs to hear it. Have an absolutely powerful day. Detachment and retention merge into one truth. Mastery of self is the only true freedom. Every other victory fades. This one remains. It does not depend on applause, attention, or outcome. It is freedom anchored in awareness, peace rooted in power. In time, you stop counting days. You stop measuring streaks. You stop performing discipline for validation. You live it because it has become you. The retained man does not announce his practice. His energy reveals it. He is calm in chaos, clear in confusion, centered in conflict. People will call you cold, distant, or mysterious. Let them. Their language cannot name sovereignty. They speak from the noise you have outgrown. Your silence will teach more than your defense ever could. Mystery will protect what explanation would only weaken. You no longer chase peace, you emanate it. You no longer crave control, you embody it. You no longer seek connection, you attract it effortlessly, from a place of fullness rather than lack. This is the alchemy of the cold man, turning need into nobility, restraint into radiance. When your emotions no longer dictate your movement, you begin to move the world through stillness. The paradox becomes clear. By holding your essence, you hold the universe in balance. By mastering reaction, you master creation. By choosing silence, you begin to speak in the language of power. If this video gave you real value, tap the thanks button. Your support helps me keep creating deeper content like this. And in the quiet of your own being, you finally understand. Cold is not the absence of warmth. It is the presence of control. Retention is not resistance. It is remembrance. You're remembering the man you were before the world convinced you to leak yourself away. In that remembrance lies peace. In that peace lies power. And in that power lies the birth of a new kind of masculinity. Not loud, not reactive, not desperate, but sovereign, centered, and silently divine.